In what you've done with your life thus far, is it giving you what you want?
Courage isn't a brilliant dash, a daring deed in a moment's flash. It isn't an instantaneous thing, born of despair with a sudden spring.
I don't doubt that there are many people in this country who break the law and aren't afraid to die in the process. But I wouldn't call them courageous.
Being courageous and brave is everything. It's vital to have faith in yourself, to be true to yourself, and to have the courage to do what it takes to achieve your goal. This consists of having the courage to be completely honest with who you are, and being strong enough to face your fears, anxieties, and struggles head-on. Pursuing your passions and being yourself requires a tremendous amount of inner strength, and it's important to constantly recognize and appreciate the confidence that it takes to follow your heart and your dreams. Often following your passion and doing what you feel is right for your life will involve going out on your own, being independent and standing strong in your choices. Even when others may disagree with your decisions, if you feel that what you're doing is right for your life, then it is important to stand firm in what you have chosen to do and who you have chosen to be.
Most people are governed by their habits, their fears, and the opinions of others. A lot of people never try anything differently because they have been convinced by people in their lives that they value that they can't do it.
Failure is ceasing to try. 'Tis accepting defeat, and to all you may meet, giving voice to a sigh. 'Tis in thinking it vain to attempt furthermore, and in bowing to pain when the muscles grow sore. Failure is stepping aside from the burnt of the fray in a weak-hearted way.
But remember, you're never really helpless. And the sense that you are helpless, or that you might be if certain things were to happen, is something we really ought to be afraid of, and that we should refuse to accept. You're never just a victim of circumstances. No matter what happens, you're never without options that can get you back on track. It takes courage to recognize that.
I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was still in love. And so I decided to start over.
Everything you already have, because what you have is substantial. You just haven't gone over the list and taken inventory in a long time. But the fact that you can walk, that's a blessing. The fact that you woke up, that's another blessing. The fact that you can see, think, reason, that's another blessing.
As an individual who has been pursuing a dream and has been working in the entertainment business for several years now, I have learned what it takes to be strong even when it's felt incredibly difficult to do so. Having the courage to believe in myself through the good times and bad times, there are constant ups and downs in this industry. And having the fortitude to remain true to myself have been major factors in the successes that I have been fortunate to have seen so far in my life. Overall, I have simply tried to be exactly who I am. Living truthfully and fearlessly involves strength, vulnerability, uncertainty, and honesty, which has not always been easy. Still, it's certainly been worth it, and all of the blessings that I've experienced so far in my life have evolved from making the decision to be courageous.
See, finding that antidote starts to change the game. And then after you identify it, you find the antidote. Number 3 is you got to practice that emotion. I know that sounds weird. I'll explain what I mean in a moment. But you got to do that emotion enough consciously that you can go from frustrated or depressed to determined. And you know how to shift that gear, and it's not fake, it's not some pump up, it's real.
Once you get this, y'all, you can change everything. Do you understand? Negativity, you can protect yourself from negativity. And that's what stops most people, negative thoughts. You can coat your mind from negativity. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you asked God for. You just got to quit tripping while you're in the process, because the process is necessary. You may not see it now, but when he gets you on the other side of it, you're going to see exactly why it went that way. And you're going to be okay with it. But quit tripping during the process. Oh Lord, why me? You ain't the only one. Oh Lord, why me? You ain't the only one. Oh Lord, why I lose my job? You ain't the only one unemployed. Oh Lord, why he leave me? You ain't the first chick got left.
Stop feeling sorry for yourself. This is not a pity party. But you got the right to celebrate the life. Because no matter if it's good or if it's bad, nothing is greater than living. Because if you're living, there's a possibility to change something.
Many people are allowing the ideas to lie dormant and collect dust. Many people have all this talent and ability that they are allowing to be buried inside of them, that they will take with them to their graves because they didn't have the courage to be who they are.
They say we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say. And now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes?
When you make a commitment to be true to yourself and to your dreams, possibilities for your life truly are endless. The first step in becoming a more courageous individual, I believe, is to take an honest look at who you are today and think about the person who you'd like to become tomorrow. Do not hold yourself back, my friend. You're the only one who can stop yourself from reaching your highest potential, and it's crucial that you don't get in your own way. We're all dealing with certain struggles, but you are a lot stronger than you might even realize. And now, the beginning of this year, is the perfect time to let go of any doubt and begin to move forward through any struggles that you might be facing. You're strong enough to conquer any challenge if you're not afraid to try.
I've heard it said that a corporation that employs 10,000 men and women today may only need 1/5 that many within 10 years. Over the last 50 years, whole sections of our society have learned to identify with the corporation that employed them. That corporation provided not only a salary, but health benefits and the opportunity to create a pension fund that would make retirement possible at age 65 or even sooner.
My third story is about death. When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today?
Right. Doesn't help you much, right? But if you really want to change, most people are trying to change. Say you want to lose weight, they want to make money. They go, how do I do it? They look for the strategy. But I'd like you to think of 3 S's. Strategy is where most people go first. Like, how do I do it?
So it's just starting out. Everything in life comes from intention. You must intend to increase these things.
So through my life, I realized these things. And I know what gives me fuel is I know that most people who are blessed with so much talent.
Me, for example, a speech by an inventor who secured a patent, started a business, and now her products litter the aisles of Walmart and Target. Now, her story doesn't overlap our stories of being trial attorneys, but there's a lot to learn from her story. Yes, she believed in herself. Yes, she never stopped trying. Yes, she never gave up on her dream. But in the midst of all that, there was a process. For the inventor turned retail sales tycoon, there was a plan. There was a plan in designing and in securing patents for her products.
But how hard is it really truly to be fit and have energy? It's not that complex. It's not like reserved for the 1% or expensive to learn. You have to interrupt, you have to hide from the answers to those things. The real problem is the second S, story. They have a story that says it's a set of beliefs they tell themselves over and again. I've tried everything. Or if they're single, all the good ones are gone. Whatever the story is. And if you tell yourself a story over and over again, so we convince ourselves. You always come up with a lousy story when you're in a lousy state. And so the number one thing I show people to do is how to change their emotional state. When you're feeling tired or frustrated, when you learn how to change your body so that you really feel excited and isn't fake, when you learn how to change your biochemistry, which is what I teach people to do, when you're upset with someone, do you ever notice how you can now remember everything that they've ever done that ever upset you, right? Yes. But when you're in love, what's wrong with life?
I knew the general manager would be calling soon. I answered the phone. I said, hello. He said, Les, this is Mr. Klein. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish his program. I said, I know. He said, would you call one of the other DJs to come in? I said, yes, sir. I hung the phone up. I said, now he must think I'm crazy. I called my mom and my girlfriend, Cassandra. I said, y'all come out on the front porch, turn up the radio. I'm about to come on the air. I waited for about 20 minutes and I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, do you know how to work the control? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and don't say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get in the control room and get old Rock out the way. I sat down at that turntable. I said, look out, this is BLB Triple P, Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only.
What's wrong with anything? When you're in love, we have no money. Who cares? We're in love. So your emotional state controls the story you have about your life, and then your story determines whether you find a strategy, or even if you know the strategy, whether you really do it or not. When people say I tried, what they're really telling me is I have a story that says I should try this, but it's really not going to work. So I give it a half-reared attempt and it didn't work, and now I can tell people I tried. What you really got to do is learn to change your emotion, your state, change your story, and then you can find the strategy, or you can make the strategy to work. I constantly believe you got to feed your mind and challenge your body, because the mind-body works together. You know, what stops people, as we said, is fear. Well, fear is physical. You feel it in your throat, your gut. But if you do something really physically strong on a regular basis, you develop a new emotional habit. And that emotional habit will get you to follow through and do things differently that people won't do. It's really not that complex. There are a few habits in your life that truly could change your whole life. I start every single day with this process called priming, training my brain to be in a peak state.
Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction, a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry. We live in the greatest country in the world that gives us the opportunity to develop our greatness. Repeat after me, please. Since greatness is possible, then being excellent is not enough. See, let me tell you what I mean by that. When you're operating at the level of excellence, you're doing that well the way you know you should have done it in the first place. But when you're pursuing your greatness, you don't know where that can go. You don't know where that can lead to. See, when Larry Bird walks on the court, or Michael Jordan, people don't pack stadiums to see them because they're excellent. They're going there to witness greatness, because any and everybody can't do that. See, you don't know what your limits are, so you want to act like you don't have any. I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what you want to do, but I want to leave this on you.
There is a difference between motivational sayings and one's attitude. People who succeed believe in themselves. They believe in their ideas. They believe they can succeed. Do you need me to share with you famous quotes or inspirational songs or uplifting stories to get you to believe in yourself, to boost your confidence, to convince you to take the hill? You have to tackle any project as if you've already done it 1,000 times, and that you've already succeeded. But the circumstances simply have not caught up to the success yet.
So I want you to become incredibly intentional at feeding your hunger level. Bringing the goal closer to you, repeating it over and over, makes you starving for it. And the more you can increase that state, the more you stay focused. Ironically, there's a connection between hunger and desperation and focus. They're related. So be intentional about them. The story I gave you about if, God forbid, a loved one or a child of yours was in an accident, can you imagine how focused you immediately become when something becomes that important to you, that desperate to you? What happens is everything else, all the distractions of what other people think about us, any other circumstances, what we don't know, what we don't have, anything scarce to us, goes away because we're so desperate, it increases our focus. If you think about anything you've had that becomes desperate to you.
Great parents, great upbringing, didn't come where I come from. They're going to quit before me. Having all the tools that they have, they didn't have the ability to examine themselves. When you have everything so nice in life, you don't self-examine. You don't do a live autopsy. When you have a fucked up life, it almost forces you to do a live autopsy. It forces you to find strength from places that no one looks from. Because food is not at the ready. You know, I have a learning disability. It's not at the ready. There's preparation behind everything I fucking do. There's everything I do has to come with so much fucking preparation. It's despicable. It makes me sick. My own personal life.
If there was a burglar in your home, for example, and you were desperate, think about the millions of things you're no longer thinking about and how focused you are in on that one thing. We've all had that time when we're laying in bed at night and we think we hear a noise, right? You become so focused, you hear every little creak in the ceiling, don't you? Every little movement of the floor. You hear your sheets move. Oh my gosh, there it is again. You become hyper aware and hyper focused when you increase desperation. So become intentional is step 2. Third, what is your plan? What is your strategy to increase your hunger level and to increase your focus level? So part of that plan might be, I need to be around people more immediately who can hold me accountable and repeat back to me what I've told them my outcomes are. I need to put myself in situations where I'm accountable, where I'm a part of a group where I have to report my results to them. Perhaps it's going public if it's your body, and going public with, this is my intention the next 30 days. This is what I'm going to do. Putting additional pressure on yourself.
Makes me sick. That's why I'm so disciplined now. Without my self-discipline, there is no David Goggins. Like, I can't stop reading. I won't be able to read tomorrow. I will lose it that fast. I cannot stop going to the gym. My mind is set up in a spot where, hey, the second I stop, it wants to stop. Because I had a quitting mind growing up. When you get beat the shit out of you all the time, your mind wants to go to that nice spot where you're comforted, where you're not trying, where shit is easy. That's where your mind, it doesn't want to think. You have all these things in the mind, and the mind can only absorb so much shit. So all the pain that has to go through, it wants to push it away and say, let's not do that. So every day I'm fighting where the mind wants to go.
People who succeed share this. Attitude. You have to believe in yourself, in your idea, in your plan, and in the process. Most every motivational book talks about this. How does the saying go, it's not your aptitude, but your attitude that determines your altitude? How often have you heard someone say that? Include it in a book? Reference it in a seminar? How about some permutation of that? But you say, I don't have that attitude.
And so now, money will never be another issue for me. And that was an issue for most of my life because I didn't know what I didn't know and I thought I knew. So one you have to do is that you have to have a mindset development strategy where you are deliberately taking an hour every day listening to a motivational message. Every day. Here's something else.
This is why you're fighting right here. Listen, kid, there's going to be time in your life where people are going to try to rain on your parade. They're going to try to tell you what you can and what you can't do.
Don't ever say you're okay. Okay is not going to make it for you. It's time to stay driven. It's time to stay hungry and continue to down the path which you are going after.
Go through the process in the dark room that prepares us and equips us for the stages of destiny. It's time to get rid, it's time to get. Well, it's time to look ourselves in the mirror and come to the resolve that this version of ourselves is not going to carry us in the stretch that I've been this version of myself. Long enough that if I don't change, if I don't do something about this, then I'm going to find myself bankrupt.
Read 10 to 15 pages of something positive every day. Why? And read it with conviction and stay focused. 10 to 15 pages every day. This is 7 days a week? Absolutely. Absolutely. Every day. McDonald's know that you know where they are. Burger King know that you know where they are. But every day they have some advertising. They have billboards. They have radio. They have television. Why? Because by exposing you to those messages, that will begin to impact your behavior.
But this is why you're fighting. You're fighting for them. You fight for all them nights you watched your mother sit on the edge of that bed and cry almost every night. Where you and your brother, they couldn't do anything and it hurt you, you remember? Listen, I don't want you to ever forget why you're doing what you're doing. You got to understand there's so much greatness that lives inside of you, and if you just get through this and continue to fight, there's greatness on the other side. And I understand that you may be in the dark today, but doesn't the beautiful roses of the field begin in the dark?
It will drive you into the place to purchase what they're advertising. Now you're advertising for your greatness, and faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing. So you want to listen to positive messages every day. You do this, I'm telling you, your life will never be the same again. And read 10 to 15 pages of something positive every day. I read 2 to 3 books a week. Why? Because I have goals and dreams of things I want to achieve. I want my life to count. I want to make a greater impact. At this stage of my life, I'm working on my children's education. A good man leaves a legacy for his children's children. So I'm working on their education at this point in my life. And as I begin to look at myself, in order to achieve more and to do more, I know I have to work more on my mind. And let me give you an example how this worked. The most money I've ever earned in an hour and a half, $260,000. That's the most money I've ever earned in an hour and a half. A lot of people work a whole month and don't do that, or 6 months. Then, here, and this is the next thing I want you to do.
What you gonna do? You gonna give up or you gonna keep going? What is it that stands behind that passion, purpose, desire that has you waking up every single day to go get what's yours? Because my faith is bigger than the size of a mustard seed. And whatever it is that stands behind that passion, purpose, and desire that has you waking up every single day, what is it? What is it that gives you unwavering conviction to go get what's yours? To do what you want to do? Because there was a point in my time in my life where I didn't have a faith in myself, where I didn't believe in myself. And
some of the most monumental and transformational portraits and pictures that we'd ever seen were developed in the darkroom. We celebrate athletes and we celebrate critical thinkers and innovators and actors, and we praise them and coin them. Our heroes, and we follow them by the millions. We love what they do in public, but you don't know the story behind the glory.
In the world today, we find ourselves in many different positions. There are many people out here that just don't understand exactly what it is that they want. And we continue to go down this path all the time. You go through it, I go through it, many people go through it. They just don't have a clue about where they want to go in their lives. But are you prepared to do it? Do you have what it takes? Are you willing to give everything you have? Are you willing to set aside people that don't really matter in your life? Are you going to stop holding on to the excuses? Are you going to stop holding on to the misery and the sorrows and all of these things that won't elevate you?
People were opposing you, but you kept on doing it. It was hard, it was rough, it was difficult, but to you, it was worth it.
Fight the temptation of weakness. Get up and go. Do it quickly, without thought. Do not reason with weakness. You cannot. You must only take action. Get up, then go.
If you want to begin to move into your own personal greatness, if you want to begin to really enjoy a happy, successful, healthy life, you've got to be willing to go against the tide. You've got to be willing to harness your will. I'm in control here. I'm coming back. And I'll be stronger and better because of it. You have got to make a declaration that this is what you stand for. You're standing up for your dreams. You're standing up for peace of mind. You're standing up for health.
You don't know the blood that sweat you. Didn't see the tears that they cried, the prayers that they prayed the countless. Weeks where they went without sleep, too. Get where they are one of the greatest tragedies in life is to live and not know why you're living. And just wondering if there's anything. Here that wants their future, that wants to fulfill their destiny, that wants to manifest, that wants to walk in discipline and determination.
Society is struggling right now. Many people are struggling right now. But that doesn't mean you don't stay hungry. Let this be a lesson. If you're hurting right now, if you're struggling right now, that doesn't mean that you're out of the fight. You just got to stay hungry. You got to stay determined. You got to have wisdom. You got to have patience. You got to make sacrifices. Whatever it takes, you got to keep moving. Stay hungry. When you sit at the table, satisfy that hunger and then get up and go for seconds. Go for thirds if you have to. But be determined and stay hungry. Believe in yourself each and every day of your life. Because there's only so much time that we all have. Don't waste it on nonsense. Be productive. Be strong. Be powerful. And from the bottom of my heart, conduct your business.
You want it, and you're going to go all out to have it. It's not going to be easy. When you want to change, it's not easy. If it were in fact easy, everybody would do it. But if you're serious, you'll go all out. I'm going to turn this situation around. I'm not going to sit back and moan and cry over what happened and what went wrong and who did what. I'm going to do something about this situation.
When I'm broken, I relish it. I'm gonna use it. If I'm broken, then I just found my limitations. And until I know what my limitations are, how can I push them? How can I get better?
You've got to put in the time. And it's got to be active patience, aggressive patience. You have to understand that it's going to take time, but you also have to do every thing that you can during that time to make sure that you're successful.
You have to act in congruence with both of those combined. One missing from the other can cause us to make poor choices.
Environment is everything. There's a quote, I don't know whose quote it is, but there's a quote that says, everyone is a genius.
Wish for more skills. That's the reason for coming here, spending a couple of days of intense effort, taking notes, rolling up your sleeves, going to work, commit yourself to learning so that you can get smarter for the days ahead.
I wish that I could tell you that the load you carry will get lighter. It won't. As time passes, you'll find it will get heavier. The mountain that you need to climb will. Get higher, the ocean that you need to cross will get wider. Trust me when I tell you that you don't want to wait. Indecision is a decision. A decision to fail, a decision to waste your potential.
Both of them missing is a choice not to choose and will lead us into pain and mediocrity, worry, fear, and all the emotions we don't want. Having one of them in place will guide you to a decent destination. But when you have both combined, the identity and the choosing, the conscious intentions for the emotions you want, you begin to have great choices being made in your life on a very regular basis. Not every day, not every time, not every moment, but enough of the time where you make progress towards your dreams, progress towards the man or woman you're capable of becoming. And when you have the combination of these two things, these patterns begin to change. We begin to replace them. So I'd ask yourself today, what are the patterns you're running that don't serve you? Begin to be aware of those patterns. Know who your real identity is. Get conscious of choosing bliss over blank.
Here we talk for an hour, there's distractions and emails. There it's total focus, and we go for immersion where literally what we did here over 6 weeks, a few little conversations, all that happens over and over again, multiple times a day, and you get that shift. So come to an event or call up and get a coach. We have people that you can work with and have a free coaching session and make sure it's really valuable for you. But these are people that can check in with you to help make sure you break through, you make the changes you want to make in your career or your finances or your body or your emotions or whatever area matters to you. And finally, lastly, and probably most importantly, every day you got to feed your mind. Because every day most of us are turning on, some form of news. It shows up in our pocket, in our Blackberries or iPods or our iPhones, I should say. It shows up, on your computer constantly. It chases us, and it rarely does a good idea interrupt you.
See those patterns when they're happening. Interrupt them. Continue to work on your identity. These two things combined, I think, are the critical components to making the decisions and the choices in our life that when we look back, I don't want you to end up in your 80s or 90s and regret the choices you made. I want you to go back. I put it through what I call the rocking chair test. That someday for all of you who I love so much, who I believe in so much, I want that rocking chair test for you to pass it. And that is, I'm proud of the choices I made. My life wasn't perfect. I made some mistakes, but I chose the emotions I wanted. I worked on my identity. I created patterns that empowered me and the people around me. And you know what? By and large, I'm proud of the choices I made in my life. I'm proud of the man or woman I've become. That's how we know we've had a great life. I don't want you to be in that rocking chair someday and regret the choices you made, regret the patterns you ran, and that you just unconsciously went through your life without choosing.
Really what you have to do is pursue the ideas, pursue the experiences that are going to change your life. And we have a way to do it called net time, no extra time. A way where you can keep feeding your mind the stuff that really matters with some products or services. So if you're interested in any of those things, be sure to click on your interest of an event or interest in having a free coaching session, or maybe try one of our audio programs, because the other challenge here is with video, you got to sit here potentially and watch me, but with audio, you can do it while you're working out, you can do it while you're cleaning the house, you can do it while you're driving in the car, while you're getting to work. We'd love to continue serving you in any way we can. I know I've gone long in this session, but I really want you to think about, how can I give my life the way I want it to be? The way I do it is I figure out what my blueprint is and I update it for what life is. I change my life, match my blueprint, and suddenly my life feels full and alive. Thank you for the time that we spent together here. I've really enjoyed our time, and I hope that this breakthrough series reminds you to never settle for less than you can be. Never settle for less than you can give or you can share. Live strong, live with passion, and God bless.
Time won't wait for you. Time doesn't wait for anyone. The clock keeps ticking in life. There are no timeouts, no breaks, and no rest stops. Remember something else, that if planet doesn't work, there are 25 other letters in the alphabet. This isn't 3 strikes when you're out. This isn't baseball. It's the real world. And that means there's no limit on how. Many times you're allowed to try. The only time your dream dies is when you decide to quit.
But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb trees, it will spend the rest of its life thinking that it's dumb. Let me say it again. Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb trees, it will spend the rest of its life thinking that it's dumb. You survive in environments other people drown in. Because water might drown you, but it's home for a fish. Difficulty is that's not water you drown in. That's perfect conditions for you to swim. Difficulty? You a believer? This is what we do. Huh? This is what we do. Don't be careful when you compare yourself to people who don't have the anointing you have.
A philosophy that commits itself to having the finest no matter what it costs. That kind of philosophy. I'm asking you to develop your own personal philosophy. Get your business philosophy going. Get your financial plan going. Don't violate the conclusions of your own philosophy by not executing and taking action. But that's number 2, get smart. Here's number 3, get going. As smart as you might become after these 2 days, as many ideas as you take away from here, they're truly, as Larry mentioned, like seeds to be planted in the soil. You got to get going. You got to take action. The disciplines is the miracle process.
You need to be ready for what's to come when the darkness sets and when you feel like you can't take another step forward. Believe in yourself. You will keep going. You will persevere. You will weather the storm. Trust in yourself, the kind of trust a bird has. You see, the bird doesn't put its trust in the branch. It puts its trust in its own wings, so when the branch breaks, it can still fly. Again, you can weather any storm you can. withstand anything the world throws at you.
Who don't have the call that you have, who don't have the purpose that you have. I know what it did to them, but it don't mean it's gonna do that to you. Difficulty doesn't kill who you are, it actually reveals who you are. Can I tell you something? You ain't met the real you until you have to use your power. That's the real you. You are treasure in jars of clay. Clay is not the real you. High you, that's not the real you. Smoking weed, you, that ain't the real you. Drunk you is not the real you. Because whenever you get into it, you start to feel alive. That anxiety you, that's not the real you. That clay has convinced you that that's who you are.
And here's how to get the miracle of your future going as far as disciplines are concerned. Number one, do what you can. You might go home and set a whole new pace for yourself, and we call it cleaning up neglect. Should walk around the block, could walk around the block for your good health. Don't walk around the block. See, you're on the wrong track. Should read, could read, don't read. On the wrong track. Should call, could call, don't call. On the wrong track. Could change, should change, don't change. You're on the wrong track. Letters you haven't written, conversations you haven't had with your family, somebody you should sit down with when you get back home and get that job done. Don't let neglect destroy your days, destroy your life, and destroy your future. Go back and do what you can. And if you'll do what you can, then life will give you some extraordinary things to do.
Remember that the safest path brings the least reward. Stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start believing in what could go. Right, there may be a million reasons you're afraid to follow your dreams, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go after what your heart desires. Dare to face your fears. Dare to take risks, dare to be better. The real question is how bad do you want it, and what are you willing to do to get it? Within you is a power far greater than you can imagine.
Even if I desire to do it, I can't do it. No, because it doesn't fit, because of my vision of myself and the contribution that I want to make to life. Because it's not enough to give the message, you must also be the message. That we must give out of a sense of oughtness. Immanuel Kant, in the book called Critique of Pure Reasoning, he says sometimes we must give out of a sense of oughtness. That certain things that happen, that we just say something ought to be done about this. Now, the reason that most people don't give is because they operate out of a consciousness of scarcity. They don't believe that there's enough to go around. They can't see themselves having the capacity to give. They don't believe that they have anything to offer. They don't see themselves as an opening for the universe to work through. So if you begin to look at this new era that we're in, begin to see yourself as an opening for the universe to move through, to work through, to make a difference in life. See yourself being used by life to improve the quality of life, to expand and to grow. Most people have a very limited view of themselves and a very limited view of the universe, do not see their relationship to the universe, and cannot see how energy and things can flow through them. I love Gibran and the prophet. Then said a rich man, speak to us of giving, and he answered, you give but little when you give of your possessions, but it's when you give of yourself that you truly give. Gibran goes on to say, there are those who give little of the much which they have, and they give it for recognition, and their hidden desire makes their gifts unwholesome. And we know people who give only to be recognized. I love that old saying, judge a man not by what he does, but by that he doesn't have to do. And to judge the true quality of a man is what he'll do when nobody's looking. Gibran goes on to say something else important. He says, and there are those who have little and give it all. These are the believers in life and the bounty of life. See, most people don't give, ladies and gentlemen, because they don't believe in life. Most people don't give because they don't understand the abundance in life. And so they go through life holding back on life, not understanding this also, that what you hold back from life, life holds back from you. So most of us go through life, ladies and gentlemen, not giving, and we're cheating ourselves.
I say, hey man, is the gig still available at Showtime at the Apollo? He said, well, we got one opening left. I said, I'll be there. So I called Eastern Airlines, who used to be open back then. They had a special for $99 going from Jacksonville, Florida to New York round trip. So I parked my car at the airport. I got everything I had was in 2 bags. Got to the Apollo. I said, hey man, I'm here. I got there at 11 o'clock in the morning. He said, you can't stay here because you don't come on to the late show tonight. I said, man, I ain't got nowhere to go. I said, if you just let me stay in this building, man, I ain't gonna move around nothing. I ain't got nowhere to go. I'm in Harlem, I can't go back out here. I got these 2 bags. I got victim wrote all over me, man. So he said, all right, if you go upstairs, don't come down. So he put me in the dressing room on the 6th floor. So that's where all the comedians were. So I stayed up there. I got hungry around 3 o'clock, man. I couldn't take it no more. So I went back downstairs, a dude named Alton Liston. I said, hey man, he said, man, I thought I told you, don't come down them damn steps. I said, hey man, I'm just hungry, man. I said, let me go to that KFC I saw on the corner. Just let me get some chicken. I'll come right back. He said, man, if you ain't back in 20 minutes, you ain't getting in this building. So I went, bought me some chicken, came back. So the comedians started coming in the building. They started coming up on the 6th floor. So I meet this guy named D.L. Hughley. I introduced myself. He introduced himself. I'm sitting there, another guy come in named Dwayne Johnson. Then this other dude walked in named Jamie Foxx. And I introduced myself. We don't know each other. Ain't none of us famous. It's 1991, man. They gave everybody the lineup. I was on the last show of the night. I don't go on to 11 at night. I'd have had this 4 pieces of chicken. I'm starving, man. That chicken done wore off. I'm nervous, man. I'm about to throw up. D.L. Hughley went downstairs. D.L. Hughley got booed off. Dwayne Johnson got booed off. Jamie Foxx went down there and got booed. They booed Jamie, then Jamie started singing. And then they started clapping. And Jamie had their ass, then he went back to them jokes, and they got his ass. So I'm walking down the steps and I see Jamie sitting on the steps. I said, hey man, hang in there. He said, man, that ain't never happened to me before, man. This is crazy. This is Jamie Foxx, man, one of the most talented people in all of comedy. And now, you don't even know how nervous I am, man. I can't even. My breathing is shot because these dudes been booed. So I walk out. I had wrote this joke. Mike Tyson had got in a fight in Harlem with this heavyweight named Mitch Green. Mike Tyson had hit the dude in the eye in the store. Now he was on the news, his eye was swollen. So the joke I wrote was, they was interviewing Mitch Green and he was telling everybody what happened, but his eye took over the interview. And I wrote this joke that his eye started talking and was just, I tell you what happened. The heavyweight champ's fist is coming towards my face. I just said, Lord, Lord, Lord. And I wrote this whole joke about this dude's eyeball talking. And when the punch came, and all this here, the Apollo, man, they went crazy. They lost their mind. I got a standing ovation, man. I walked off stage, man, just started crying. I couldn't believe it. They paid me. I made $750 for being on TV for one night. I'd never made $750 telling jokes in one night. And so that was my first television appearance. A couple weeks later, Sinbad was the host of the show. He got this job on Different World. And so he quit. And so Mark Curry became the host. And then Mark Curry got hanging with Mr. Cooper and he quit. And they came to me and said, would you come back to New York and host amateur night for us to just try you out? Oh, ain't no problem. And so I went to New York, I hosted amateur night and I was killing. But every time we went to commercial break, I was supposed to let the warm-up act take over like Ruben does. But I knew not to let the warm-up act do that because he would change the attitude of the crowd because the Apollo was a wild place. So I stayed out there. I did the warm-up and the hosting. And I created a bond with that audience. And that's how I got on TV. It was my very first TV show. I hosted Showtime at the Apollo. I ended up being the longest running host in the history of Showtime Apollo. I did that show for 8 years.
All life form strives to the max of its potential except human beings. All life form strives to the max of its potential except human beings. How tall will a tree grow? As tall as it possibly can. You never heard of a tree growing half as high as it could. No, trees don't grow half. A tree drives its roots as deep as it can, reaches as high as it can, produces every leaf it can, every fruit it possibly can. To the max. Every life form strives to the max, except human beings. Now, why not human beings? You've been given the dignity of choice. You're not a robot. You don't have to repeat this year the same as last year. You can tear up last year's plan, develop a new plan. So, the dignity of being a human being. Now, here's the choice on being a human being. To be part of all we were meant to be, or to be all. To strive for all, or half, or part, or some. The choice is up to you. To develop 1 skill or 10 skills. Someone says, well, I'd be happy with just 1 more language. Well, some say, hey, I'm going to learn 6 or 7. And this is all a matter of choice. And when someone says, no, you ought to learn 4, you got to resist all that. Because this is personal dignity. And you don't want to destroy someone's dignity by doing all the oughts, and then they feel reluctant to do it. Now we've got problems. So if you want to, just ignore this subject on time management. Now here's the next one. Step down to something easier. The guy's in sales, and he says, oh, I want to own the company. Finally owns the company. Now he's got no time to play golf. He said, when I was in sales, I was making big money playing golf 3 days a week. Heck with this owning something. Heck with managing. My life was never my own after I started to manage. I'm going back to sales. See, this is the key. If you're getting too pressed, you might consider stepping down to something with a little easier time pressure.